None? Dick?
I do. And let me preface it with something that a lot of the speakers don't bother talking about, and that is their credentials to back their claims that have gone on these documents that have been passed out to the village. They treat us as if we don't know anything about the environment. I headed the largest environmental organization in the state funded by the American Lung Association. On our board was the head of the Lake Michigan Federation at the time. I have all variances for the environment in the city of Chicago came to us first for recommendation before being acted upon. The ozone action days in the state are a result of our group and our action. I have served as a special hearing officer for the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency. I was the attorney for the Illinois League of Women Voters on the project where we forced the second largest sanitary district in the state to enlarge itself and protect Lake Michigan. And later I represented Highland Park before the Pollution Control Board as far as the engineering and getting that project done. I have represented, besides being a hearing officer on the one side of the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, I've represented some groups in multi-year litigation with the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency dealing with groundwater situations where I know that these agencies are responsible agencies. These are the agencies that are going to be dealing with our plans. I have also lectured at various universities, including the University of Wisconsin College of Engineering on pollution matters. I learned a very specific lesson, and that is environmental decisions are made on fact. And I do mean fact, not baseless claims, which I will get into. I want to call your attention to two incidents in Winnetka, and then I'll go into what I consider things that caused the vote to be as it was. And we have to consider those things. A couple of weeks ago, the ground was frozen solid in Winnetka, and they predicted a very large rainstorm. Everybody was concerned if we had that rainstorm. Frozen ground does not permit porous surfaces to do anything. Frozen ground does not permit rain gardens to do anything. The proposals that supposedly are supposed to take care of this would not have aided, whereas a tunnel situation in that circumstance would. In the July 11th rainstorm, the July rainstorm where we had the 100-year flood, I didn't spend it inside. As a trustee, I was out in the street watching what was going on. The ground was saturated quickly. Rain gardens wouldn't help. We had a 32-gallon container out to try to capture rain from the roof. It became filled very, very quickly and overflowed. I watched the pavers on driveways, which are supposed to gather in water and prevent them from going into the street. Those pavers, the cracks were filled up and the rain just sheeted over it. Tower Road became a stream, a fast-moving stream that when I walked across it, it could have knocked me over with the force. And it turned at various locations, and one particular house on Bell Lane, it smashed the windows and filled the basement. We were told by the people who had this type of flooding problem that we are supposed to do something about it. And that's a very serious responsibility. I talk about facts. We have had an open council here where people are supposed to come before us and give us facts. Literature was passed out, and we talk about a fiduciary responsibility. We have a fiduciary responsibility that blatant, unsubstantiated facts that can turn the electric around and cause them to vote no. We have to consider those unsubstantiated facts. If I didn't know better and have a background, I would have voted no based on the type of literature that was passed around. We're told that, for instance, we're doing obsolete technology. Obsolete technology, that this tunnel is outdated, and that Wisconsin has the advanced technology. The people who are saying that didn't bother saying where, when, how. The people who are saying that didn't come before the council and say, look, in the 2 years that we've discussed it, that there's this other technology. And I asked one of the members of the group where they had it and to give me some literature on it. The answer was, I never got a thing. They talk about 800 boxcars full of pollution going in the lake. Based on my knowledge and years of experience, that is a patently false claim. And this is the type of thing that people have been dealing with. They talk about, let's have prairies and wetlands. Where? We have the forest preserve. Initially, they said the forest preserve would give us the land. The forest preserve has written us. We have letters, if anybody wants to see it, saying no. It is not within our corporate policy to cause our grounds to be used for the benefit of particular suburbs. Our forest preserves are for the benefit of the entire population of Cook County, and we will not undertake to let our land be used for detention basins for a particular suburb. They claim Crow Island Woods. The sentiment in the community that I have lived in wants Crow Island Woods as a woods, not torn down and made into a large retention basin. And the school district hasn't volunteered a thing. People talk about the economics of the situation. And mind you, we hear the debates in the community. We're not in isolation of the community. We know the concerns of the community, and part of the concerns of the community are these baseless claims. And the people who made the baseless claims had the opportunity to come here and back them up. They had the opportunity in the literature to say what this Wisconsin situation was so it could be dealt with. Instead, they just say, Wisconsin has better technology. And then they expect us to say, because the voters are concerned about that better technology, stop. You give us facts, not these inflammatory sound bits. And on the economics, a lot of this was the economics based on the what's gone on in the community. And people are saying, how dare they go out and pass bonds at a time when we have the future construction is a year or two off. But what they don't say, and what if people would follow what this council has done, is we had Spears Financial come and weigh the situation of, is it better to issue the bonds now with the interest rates low and then get the benefit of that low interest rates during the 30-year period of those bonds, or is it better to wait till the interest rates rise and then pay that huge interest rates for a 30-year period? And based on the advice of the financial consultants and weighing the markets and the likelihood of the interest rates going up, we voted to protect the interest rates. We have an opening if that doesn't occur in the bond issue, and we also are holding the reserves because, again, the reserves are getting us practically nothing, and we want to use these as a protection against future rises in the interest rates, which would cost us a bloody fortune. And then people have also said, my word, New Trier High School is going to be socked with this amount of money. We are spending approximately $4 million around New Trier. And when that was debated, the superintendent of New Trier came here and talked to us about it. And the superintendent of New Trier said she was in favor of the project, understanding that they would be paying, at that time she was talking about $48,000 a year. And why was she in favor of it? Because New Trier needed help in its flooding processes. And this would be much easier for them and much cheaper for them than not doing it and letting New Trier try to fix its own situations which they have outlined to us. So the bottom line is this. Yes, we have a fiduciary responsibility to consider the vote, but we also have a fiduciary responsibility to consider the type of literature that went out with all the baseless fear-mongering in that literature that caused the concern of the residents. And again, knowing the facts, I can't adopt that fear-mongering. I have a fiduciary responsibility to this community to do the right thing and prevent flooding. I have the fiduciary responsibility not to rely on claims without basis. I have a fiduciary responsibility to rely on, not on claims lacking detail. We have an engineering firm hired, besides the financial firm. We trustees are working hard with the engineers. The current engineering firm is double-checking all the calculations of Burke. The current engineering firm will work on the figures and the engineering plans that will go to the various permit agencies. We have an idea as far as what the stormwater outflow carries, so that we're not acting in the dark on all these 800 cars of pollutants that people have passed out literature on is patently false. So in my opinion, we've entered into an engineering contract. Part of that engineering contract is going to review the soundness of the plan. Part of the engineering contract is going to deal with the issues of pollution and how they can be best dealt with. Part of the situation ahead of us is going to be dealing with the governmental agencies who will be carrying out their responsibilities to protect the lake and the environment. So, we've entered into a contract, and as far as I am concerned, we are going forward because of what was done in that election as far as the fear factors and the lack of facts. As we go along, if those proponents of other courses of action can come up with something that is factual, we are here, and we are also here to present that to our engineers. But right now, on the basis of what we have, and on the basis of entering into a contract with a sound engineering firm, and with a sound engineering firm that has hired a specialist environmental firm to back up their contentions, I feel we're going to go forward. People can present whatever they want, but this isn't something that we hatched up without careful consideration. And again, we have a contract with a firm that has been entered into, and they will be performing their duties, and their conclusions will be made public so that the public can comment on them. So as far as I'm concerned, we are staying the course, and we are going to rely on the engineers, and we're going to deal with the environmental agencies as far as protecting the lake, and we're going to act responsibly in that regard. And as far as I'm concerned, in the years that we've been dealing with this subject, we have been acting responsibly. And the audience has pretty well been bare, including on the Spears Financial presentation. So we're not cutting off people, but as we go forward, they can present, and we will conclude. But this is an engineering project, basically, and that's where we're going to play our reliance.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.